Hello there, vinyl community. George here. And this is George Allen's LPs and CDs. That's the channel you're watching. So you are tuned into the right channel. And today we are following up on the thread started by Mike, PC31, the Vinyl Policeman. And his thread is this, is to name one record company label, then show 5 different albums by 5 different artists on that label. So, I thought that was a very interesting one. I never paid too much attention to labels, except when it comes to jazz. I think I paid a little bit more attention to the labels there on rock, folk, prog rock, some of that psych rock. Maybe I paid less attention to. So this kind of got me into looking at the labels on this type of music. And I decided to pick Elektra. Because I realized, looking at the different labels, that early in the my musical awakening, you might say, when I was a teenager, that was a lot of the bands that I was listening to were on Elektra. And they were started in 1950 by Jack Holzman and Paul Rickard. And, they had a lot of changes over the years. And, well, when they first started out, they were concentrated on a lot of folk music, rock bands, and you're going to see some of these that you'll probably remember. Some of you older guys like me will remember a lot of them. And, of course, a lot of these have been reissued on different labels. And they even started one label after they started getting the folk and rock. They started the None Such label so they could do lower priced classical records. And I even remember first getting into classical records, excuse me, I remember buying None Such records. Because they were lower priced. I couldn't afford the Deutsche Grammophon back when I was young like that. But then later, through different mergers and stuff, it became Asylum Records and Warner Asylum, Elektra, and so they, how these corporations merge and stuff. But so anyhow, here I'm going to start showing you some of the stuff that I got. And I'm going to go in chronological. These are going to be in chronological order. These are not as my favorites rated. These are in chronological order because I love all these. And one of the oldest ones that I have is Paul Butterfield Blues Band. And this came out in 1965. I think the year after this, their second album came out, East West, and I really dug this album a lot. And this is what the label looks like. This is not my original. Wish I had my original. This is a repress. But there's that big E for Elektra. That's what a lot of their labels look like. And this had some great musicians in it, besides Paul Butterfield himself. It had, of course, Paul Butterfield on vocal harmonica, the tremendous Mike Bloomfield is listed as slide guitar, Elvin Bishop on rhythm guitar. It's hard to believe Elvin Bishop was listed rhythm guitar. Jerome Arnold on bass. Sam Lay, who they stole away from Muddy Waters Band, and Mark Naftalin on organ. And that's the back of the cover. So this was a repress, but as you can tell, it's still a pretty old copy. So anyhow, that's first one. Then we're going to jump to 1967, and this is certainly not my original, Love, and this was their third or fourth studio album, and this is when this came out, you know, it was originally it was kind of panned by the you know, the critics, because this was not Arthur Lee's typical type music. They were more of a hard rockin' band, and this was not a hard rockin' band. And so this is a 180 gram copy, and you've probably seen this. There's that big E for Elektra. So, but this is a wonderful album. I liked it when it first came out. I thought it was, to me, I thought it was a beautiful album. I think it's really magnificent. So, let me get my paper back here. Come on, paper. So, next in line we got from 1969, psych rock, folk rock, Earth Opera, their Great American Eagle Tragedy. And this features Peter Rowe and David Grissman, Paul Dillon and John Nagy. And this is, you know, during the late 60s, yeah, mid-60s, I'd say. It's mid 60s, early 70s. These guys, Peter Rowe and David Grissman, they kind of were in and out of a bunch of different bands. This is a interesting album. There's another Elektra Big E. This is a wonderful album. If you like, typically, some of you guys might recognize Peter Rowe and David Grissman. They're typically more in the folk rock type bands, and how they ended up in the psych rock, I have no clue. But this is an excellent album. Earth Opera. Now, we're going to hit, this is not the earliest of theirs on Elektra, and I'll tell you what, they were glad to be able to sign these guys, but the Doors, and I picked this because this is one of my, except for their debut album, this is my next favorite Doors album. And Morrison Hotel came out in 1970. There's a picture of the guys there. They look like they should be staying at a sleazy hotel, don't they? This is a great album. And here we got a red label Elektra. See, nobody was really into custom labels or anything back then, you know. You went with the record company. You're lucky if you got a decent album cover, and that was it. Today, everybody gets fancy dancy label covers and stuff. So I took off I took them out of the, you know, the plastic outer cover, so I didn't have to mess with that. So anyhow, so that Morrison Hotel, what a great album, huh? That's on Elektra, 1970. Getting near the end of Morrison's career here. Anyhow, last but not least, 1974, Lindisfarne folk rock group from England, and this is a very good album, good band. And this is, oh no, this one has a little bit more. See, and you're getting into later in the 70s and they get a little bit more different labels. See, a little bit, they got a little butterfly on there. How about that? And with the little E. And this is, I got some of these lines. See how these things were? I got these from Record Solutions a couple years ago, and they're all right, but I don't know. Storage Solutions. Lindisfarne, 1974. So that's my 5 albums for Elektra. And interesting label, had a lot of great bands, and they were out for a while, and then Warner Asylum brought the label back again, but I don't think the original guys were involved too much. So, interesting history when you dig into this. I want to thank Mike. His link is below, so you can go check him out. And Vinyl Policeman, he's going to be checking up on you, I guess. I don't know. Another great thread. Had a lot of good threads going around lately. And, you know, that's kind of neat sometimes doing these. Who cares if you win any money? You know, you enter a contest with 40 or 50 other people, and, you know, it's like the lottery almost. I think over the 2 years almost I've been in the vinyl community, I think I've won 2. So, and I don't know how many contests I've entered. So sometimes threads are just as neat, you know. No big deal. It's fun. Either way, it's great. We're still showing the music we like. Lots of fun, as long as they don't get too complicated, you know. Don't have a thread where I got to show 15 albums. I got to pull too much. Anyhow, have a great day. See you around, folks.